For crying out loud, another thing to fix. Last time it was the scoreboard, now it's this. I mean, we are builders in fairness, fam, so I mean... Yo, that's crazy. Jeez, yo, man. It wasn't that bad before now. It was really, really bad. Yo guys, it's your boy, Trim Niren here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, is the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. And what's been going on in the world? Well, UK residents have been making the most of pubs and shops reopening.
It was that pint in a pub garden that tasted so sweet.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You had bottles at home. You could have done this before. Jamie Carragher tweeted about the lines being out. Jesus Christ, Jamie, it's only a Thursday. Meanwhile, thankfully for me, barbers are very much back and ready to go again. And that means we're back to Paul Pogba posting trim pics. And that, I'm sure, will now correlate to 5 absolutely stinky 6.3 match ratings in a row. On to the football though now, and... you know what? I'd rather... I swear, there's other things to talk about in it. So Liverpool are out of the Champions League at the hands of Real Madrid after a disappointing 0-0 draw at Anfield. In the end, it was the first leg that did the damage, but we wasted so many opportunities in the second. We were shooting like we were using the plastic balls from secondary school. Fucking hell, that's the second one today. Poor old Margaret living next to the stadium seeing balls just raining in. She hasn't experienced this in years. The game's getting stopped as Sadio Mane goes round to knock on the door and get him back. Realistically, what are we paying Roberto Firmino for other than Colgate endorsements? The whole front three just isn't coordinating properly. I think this might have been the symbolic end of it. Salah was wasteful, Firmino was invisible, Mane has the confidence of a jelly bean. One silver lining was that the intensity was there at least. There was fight, there was passion. Fabinho went clattering in on Casemiro, who got his own back on James Milner. Tensions flared, but Zinedine Zidane was loving it in the background. Honestly, I just feel depressed. There's nothing worse than a Champions League exit, so thank goodness I'm not gonna have to experience that next year. It could be the end of the front three. I definitely want to see Diogo Jota starting more, because these lot couldn't finish a crossword at this point. But in saying all of that, Real Madrid were ridiculously solid defensively. Whilst they gave away some good chances, a lot more were cancelled out by just heroic blocks from their makeshift defensive line. PSG joined Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-finals after an away goals win over Bayern Munich. It was a game of incredibly high quality all over the pitch, except for Neymar in front of goal. I know it got views, lad, but you can't just start recreating Sidemen videos halfway through an important game.
I've never successfully completed more than 3 keepy offies.
He must have used all of his finishing on his sister. I can't be arsed, fam.
Way out of pocket.
Or maybe it was someone entirely different. He posted a video of himself watching a game on Instagram this week. Turns out it was one of those dodgy streams that has some very suspect ads on it. This man spending his free time trying to meet MILFs online. They're in my local area, you say? I hope he's spending his wage on antivirus software, because he's not spending it on a Sky subscription. At full time, he celebrated with Leandro Paredes, and it happened to be right in the face of Bayern midfielder Joshua Kimmich. Now, before the tie, Kimmich had made comments about Bayern Munich being the better team and the fact they should have gone through. Neymar said himself that it was more fate. He didn't actually mean to be right in front of Kimmich at the time of celebrating, but we all know the truth. It's a shithousery award for the Brazilian, though his caption on Twitter for the picture, a little bit sus. Bayern, though, did win on the night, and they scored via Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, who just seems to keep popping up with Champions League goals. This man couldn't even do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke. But then again, neither could Stoke. Leroy Sané dropped somewhat of a stinker. You see, yes, he Leroyally fucked it. Leroyally Why are you booing me? But honestly, it's a shock Bayern even performed so well across 2 legs whilst competing in the league campaign, because their bench had a combined age of 11 and a half. There's more appearances in exam centres than on a football pitch down there. But as I said, it was a quality game. Not that you'd know it from Martin Keown's commentary. The man was commentating like he was being forced to watch his aunt and uncle's sex tape. This is a Champions League semi-final, man, not a tax return. There was at least more commentary excitement between Borussia Dortmund and Manchester City, as the home side ended up winning 2-1 on the night once again to take a 4-2 aggregate victory, despite an early Jude Bellingham opener. Phil Foden then sealed the deal before calling out Kylian Mbappe on Twitter. I rate this, to be fair, from Phil Foden, alright? Called him out. You're coming on your wands. No cousin that's in year 11 can come with you and beat me up. But I can see it backfiring, and I can see Kylian Mbappe Adebayoring his way over to the kid in the second leg. He also needs a rebrand before he can start doing stuff like this. You can't be calling the shots looking like your mum still packs your lunchbox for you. Back in the Premier League, and Manchester United came back from 1-0 down to beat Jose Mourinho's Spurs side 3-1. I'm pretty sure the United team bus only arrives at 1-0. Hey, I could have sworn we're meant to be somewhere. Controversy came in the form of a disallowed Manchester United goal in this one, where Heung-min Son was flicked by a gust of wind produced by Scott McTominay. Nah, not even that realistically. The Met Office can't be blamed for this. Son himself then scored 2 minutes after the United goal was disallowed. United assistant Mike Phelan had just completely given up caring, and really and truly, it's just not a foul, is it? 47-year-old bazzers everywhere are gonna have a field day with this one. Oh, I'm telling you now, lads, the game's gone. It was better when there weren't these foreigners. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gave his thoughts on Heung-min Son's actions.
Hey, if my son stays down like this for 3 minutes, if he gets that in the face from one of his other mates, and he needs 10 mates to help him up, yeah, he won't get any food.
A bit of a weird analogy.
No food for his kids. Marcus Rashford's gonna be all over this one. But United fans calling for corruption and conspiracies with VAR calls. We do remember the Alex Ferguson days, don't we? Let's just chill out here. Referees had to clock in at his office before games back in the day. Jose Mourinho obviously lost at the hands of his former side, and this picture come the end of the game could genuinely be hung in an art museum. Edinson Cavani inspired the comeback with some truly dedicated aerial threat. But I'm convinced Spurs just pretend they play with 2 centre-backs. They can't physically be this bad. Eric Dyer said he wanted his ashes sprinkled over the pitch at White Hart Lane. You curse these lot enough as it is, big man. Harry Kane became the first player to hand in a transfer request during a football match. No wonder he's not involved in the game. He's parked at the corner flag trying to get reception to call his agent. He's halfway through a strongly worded email at 2-1 down. Across in the east of London, and things are considerably brighter for West Ham United after a 3-2 victory against Leicester. I've no idea why these lot turn into fridge freezers when they go 3-0 up, and I've no idea how Jesse Lingard has suddenly become the greatest player in the world. This version of Jesse Lingard scores 4 at the Emirates, then opens up a Prism nightclub on the pitch. And people discovered this tweet from one of West Ham's owners, David Gold, 4 years ago, saying that he wanted to get into the Champions League within the next 5.
You all laughed at me. Well, I have to say, you're not laughing now, are you?
One Leicester supporter took to Twitter to try and get James Maddison's attention this week. He claimed that if the England midfielder replied, he would get an R9 haircut. Maddison replied, and LCFC Legion here did the rest. I mean, James has got more time to tweet now after his disciplinary for breaking COVID regulations. How do you even manage to do this? There's nothing to do in Leicester. Meanwhile, West Bromwich Albion had a goal disallowed against Southampton after VAR drew lines off the wrong attacker. Have you drawn the line, lad? Yeah, I mean, fuck it, man. He's in black and white. It's probably the guy that we need. Stephen, that's a member of the crowd. Over in Spain, and for a Barcelona team photo, the Catalan side decided to Photoshop Felipe Coutinho into the picture. Can they not even afford to get him into these? It's not been a great week for Barca as they lost El Clasico 2-1 against Real Madrid in a game played on the set of Noah's Ark. There's been matches of water polo, dry higher than this one. If you dive in this game, you could genuinely qualify for the Olympics. Casemiro was sent off late on, but knew the game was over and laughed as he walked off the pitch in front of Barca players. Meanwhile, Ronald Koeman was probably just in the background, laughing generally speaking. In an international women's game between Ukraine and Northern Ireland, we saw some very interesting defending. Yeah, look, eyes for the ball only, man. I don't know what you're talking about. In Ajax's Europa League quarter-final first leg against AS Roma, it's fair to say Ajax's ball boys weren't too keen on the time wasting going on from the Serie A side. It was a very interesting week for the Europa League because in Manchester United's game against Spanish side Granada, I don't know whether Donny van de Beek got bored halfway through the game, wanted to spice it up. Yeah, we had a streaker in this one, but more incredibly than that, he actually broke into the stadium before the day. That's dedication to exposing yourself that Shane Dawson can only dream of. There's the incredible stat that Martin Ødegaard could earn trophies and medals from the Copa del Rey for Real Sociedad, from La Liga with Real Madrid, and the Europa League with Arsenal if those teams win each of the competitions. Does, however, rely on Arsenal winning a trophy. Meanwhile, Antoine Griezmann and his partner had their third child this week, and incredibly, every single child has been born on the exact same day, just on different years. This man's bedroom life must be boring as hell. They're basically penciling in days where they can do it. Meanwhile, one of the most outrageous stories I've heard in FTW history comes from Colombia, where Águilas Doradas had to play against Boyacá Chico with only 7 players. This was because of an outbreak of COVID during the last couple of weeks at the club. They literally only had 7 fit players and had to field a goalkeeper at centre-back. Unbelievably, they held out for the entire first half without conceding a goal against 11 men on the other side. Their formation was a 3-2-1 for crying out loud. Hello all and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
Elbow goes down under challenge, but it will break Laurie's way. It's a careless one from Laurie. Gives it straight back to Glentoran. Almost proves scores. He had a good move for this. What a terrible goal! My goodness me! I have never seen an own goal like that.
And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now next we've got a continuation of a story that happened a few weeks ago. UEFA have banned Slavia Prague defender Ondrej Kudela for racially abusing Rangers midfielder Glenn Kamara. Now he's got a 10-game ban. I think that just applies to UEFA games rather than domestically. It does mean he's going to miss the Euros, which is pretty hilarious, but Glenn Kamara has also been given a 3-match ban for assaulting Kudela in the tunnel. At least we're seeing a 10-match ban. However, it should be more than a 10-match ban when you consider Kieran Trippier was banned for 12 for betting offences. The priorities don't seem to add up, and then Kamara getting 30% of the ban that Kudela has received also seems massively imbalanced. Whilst I get it was violent conduct, you can't just beat people up, it makes a bit of a mockery of the Kudela ban when Kamara's getting something that's kind of in the same ballpark. Really and truly, if UEFA do care about the anti-racism message they try to portray, they need to be giving out harsher bans than that. I'm talking 2 years, 3 years, for example. Closer to home, and Alan Saint-Maximin's face shots are so good that he's sending even the cameramen for hot dogs as well. Southampton will reportedly be paying their bonuses for players this year via Bitcoin due to a sponsor that the club has, though bonuses would kind of rely on them actually winning games at some point. So at Oldham, we've got this very interesting free kick technique that seems to have paid off.
All the lads are jumping up and down. McCalmont, Whelan over the free kick. Whelan steps over it. McCalmont as it towards it. It's just
what a goal!
2-0 Latics.
And in the shady world of TikTok, we've got this very delightful woman here suggesting that someone from Manchester City enjoys the art of being pegged. Now, look, I'm not going to get into the details of what that is. If you know, then you know. If you don't, then please don't search it. Turns out she follows Phil Foden. Get Mason Greenwood on the line as well. Flamengo won the Supercopa do Brazil this week on penalties against Palmeiras. They brought out the traditional flair that goes along with Brazilian celebrations. In Serbia, and one penalty area is getting a little bit too crowded. In Australia, and Wellington Phoenix reported on a yellow card for a member of the opposition, to which a Melbourne Victory fan said there was nothing in it. They replied saying, just like your title challenge, that's outstanding. It's a Housery award for the Australian side. Over in Japan, meanwhile, it is the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, and we have got Dinamo Bucharest fans attempting to watch a game by flying a hot air balloon into a stadium. What is going on in this country? This happens weekly. Back in Brazil, and it's fair to say Vasco da Gama fans were escorted off the premises after trying to congregate and watch their team. There's going to be a higher attendance in the nearby prison than in that stadium. We've got 10 out of 10 time wasting over in Russia.
Андрей Ещенко по позиции замена. Плотненько, да? Смотрится Андрей. Туда, на дальний фланг. Пошел.
Meanwhile, women's Japanese international Yuki Nagasato today learned what American slang is. She was trying to meet a friend who said, I'ma bring that ass. Then another one said that they were gonna bring red wine and that ass as well. And she thought that that ass meant drink or food rather than just them saying that they were coming. I don't really know what you want me to say about this, to be honest. Now though, it is time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is the segment of the show where I bring to the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And we've seen a pitch invader in this episode already. Now it's time for two more that have just as much fur, if not slightly less.
Oh, here we go.
Not one, not two.
There's a dog on the pitch. They think it's all over. Oh, my word.
Over in the Liberian 3rd Division, and an 11-year-old child has caught the eye of the footballing world by competing at a senior level against literal adults and slapping them about. One Sudanese referee was pictured alongside fellow officials with a guard dog at the start of a match because he was trying to protect himself from the fabled, clearly, Sudanese ultras. When's it gonna end? I can't see Mike Dean backing out weapons for Premier League matches. Over in Ukraine, and one forward playing for Karpaty Halic, I don't know if I pronounced that right, celebrated by taking off his shirt. He threw it away into the crowd and then couldn't find it for a solid few minutes. The game had to be halted because a fan on the sidelines had stolen it and he didn't have a spare. But ending with some good news, and footballing legend Ian Robben returned to football after 6 months out playing for his home side Groningen this weekend. And finally, Cardiff defender Sol Bamba has returned to training just 3 months after being diagnosed with leukemia, which is brilliant to see. It's lovely that he's recovering and already able to get back into training after such a short time. But that is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video and subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.